What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here, talking today about the PlayStation 5, because now the PS5 is officially the fastest selling Sony system ever. This has been their most profitable freaking year of all time. Now, these numbers are kind of crazy, so I wanted to go over them because it's just insane how much gaming manages to grow and expand. But let me just be clear, most of the reason I'm shocked by this is because you still can't just buy a PlayStation 5 easily. Like, you can't just walk into Walmart with $500 in your pocket and walk out with the system. It's still such an arduous task to try and get in lines, to pre-order, to try and line up to get the PS5, and yet despite this, they're breaking their own sales records. So late last night, there was actually this big financial report just done by Sony talking about specifically their games division, talking about what's going on, how they're going to be actually making even more games, and why this is actually working out. So here's some numbers from that. PlayStation 5 has already sold 7.8 million consoles by the end of March 2021. So even now this data is actually about 3 weeks out of date. They've definitely probably crossed 8 million very easily by now. But this is ahead of the PlayStation 4, which at this point was 7.6 million. This is still kind of crazy because I feel like a lot of you guys may not realize this. I know a lot of people actually kind of got into gaming during the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 era, but during the last generation, gaming was already getting pretty freaking mainstream. A lot of people, the casual gaming demographic, really began to explode over the course of the last 10 years, and there was a bit of a PlayStation 4 shortage for a bit. So the fact that this actually managed to be bigger and more popular, this still kind of confounds me, and it shows the fact that gaming is just getting bigger than ever before. But let me talk about why this excites me, because, I mean, quite frankly, I'm not a freaking Sony investor. I don't care about their profit margins. I'm curious about what this means for the games themselves, and thankfully, they have talked about this. Here's a Jeff Keighley tweet kind of compressing a lot of the information because there is just a huge chunk of data released last night, and here's part of it. 47.6 million PlayStation Plus subscribers, which this still kind of blows my mind. I mean, basically this just means that if you have a PlayStation 4 or a PlayStation 5, it seems like the online games are going to keep living. Like, the amount of people that are actually just jumping in, that are playing stuff like Final Fantasy XIV online, Rocket League, I mean, it's crazy to me how many games are still completely thriving on the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5. But here is the part that definitely gets me the most hyped, like straight up excited. 330 million games sold for the PS4 and the PS5. Now, this to me is actually the biggest sign of the fact that Sony is going to reinvest this. They're going to take this cash and immediately shove it straight back into all those game studios, making bigger sequels, better spin-offs, and hopefully more daring projects. Now, what's interesting here is that this is actually within this article right here, and they talk about the fact that part of this is add-on content, so a lot of like PlayStation DLC, but the other thing is, during this financial year, Sony released big hitters like The Last of Us 2 and Ghost of Tsushima. So this at least means that, you know, I'm not the biggest Last of Us fan, but it's pretty cool the fact that Ghost of Tsushima, that a lot of their projects are hopefully getting, you know, more chances to thrive. And it seems like Sony is already beginning to kind of brag about the potential of upcoming projects, because just a couple hours ago, they actually released this statement that's, to me, this is the biggest and best sign of all this weird financial news. Sony to invest an additional $183 million into PlayStation exclusives over the next year. This is enormous. 183 million invested just into their exclusive games. This is fantastic. Obviously, they're showing things like Spider-Man, God of War. Now, this statement is being made by the Sony CFO, Hiroki Tokutuki. Oh God, I'm slaughtering this poor gentleman's name, but here was his specific statement. We intend to increase the development, personnel, and other in-house costs by approximately 183 million year on year as we further strengthen our in-house software. Now here is why this is great, is because they're talking about the fact that this is 183 million going into their studios. This is not 183 million of marketing. This isn't 183 million of buying exclusives. It sounds like this is all pure development. This is new games that are being made with the PlayStation bucks. And that means that, I mean, one of the things that's been happening and being discussed a lot is this craziness of buying timed exclusives, of paying somebody 5 million or 10 million to make sure it doesn't exist on the Xbox, or making sure it just doesn't come to the Nintendo Switch. And to me, I mean, I understand that these kind of deals manage to sell consoles, but to me, I don't know, that seems like such a weird use of budgeting, to take this gigantic pile of money and pay just so the other people can't play in the sport. I mean, it sounds like this is actually going to pure out games development though, and not just exclusivity contracts. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about today is that they're already beginning to hint about some of the futures of the PlayStation 5. So as you can see here, this came out just a couple minutes ago. Naughty Dog is already talking about The Last of Us Part 3. Now, it sounds like this is incredibly far away, and in fact, they're basically saying that while the script outline for The Last of Us Part 3 is written, it sounds like it's not really in development. But I think this is all just a gigantic package. This is a gigantic lump of ideas. This is basically Sony saying, we're currently investing in the future. Right now, I think a lot of people are excited for the PlayStation 5. I feel like the buzz around the PlayStation 5 just continues to grow and expand. But additionally, I feel like a lot of the statements, these financial reports are kind of showing that Sony themselves is beginning to feel the hype. I mean, I think they realize the fact that these games are managing to be bigger, better, more beautiful, and with stuff like solid-state hard drives and the smart adaptive triggers, we can do things in games that could not have ever existed before. This to me in general sounds like some very good news, but I'm kind of curious what happens next. Like, I think that I'm glad that the games of last year have managed to sell well, but with nearly 120 million PlayStation 4 sold, I'm wondering how long until we have that gigantic hit for the PS5. Like right now, they've been releasing a bunch of stuff about Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Every single trailer, GIF, everything about this game seems to be completely taking over the internet, but I'm beginning to think how many PlayStation 5s can sell until these games start to become a financial success, because I think we're still in that weird gray area where Sony is definitely pumping money into studios like Insomniac to make their big huge games, but I don't think that these games are actually profitable yet. We're in that weird freaking layover where the PlayStation 4 is still technically more profitable than the PlayStation 5, but now having both systems at once, how close are we to having a true next-gen experience? Will it be God of War? Will Rift Apart actually be that next-gen leap? I guess we're going to see very, very soon, but I'm excited for what comes next. I'm excited to see how much these games are going to get big, and honestly, my biggest thing is I just want more games faster. At times, I'm a greedy gamer. I just want to see every exclusive right the heck now. I want to see God of War, I want to see Horizon, and I want to beat them right freaking now. Well, thanks so much for watching, gamers. These have just been some off-the-cuff thoughts because I'm actually impressed that the PlayStation 5 is even selling as well as it can with these insane supply constraints. I am working on a big review for Returnal, so be ready for that. I can't say too much about it, but I'm probably going to do some sort of Returnal giveaway because I'm happy with the game. Well, maybe I shouldn't say it, but you guys watch the Returnal video when I drop it. Thanks so much for watching, gamers. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. You know, while I was actually pulling out my tiny little PlayStation Classic, I also decided to grab my original PS1 Slim. Man, I kind of forgot how tiny this thing was. I mean, it's funny that people sort of forget that the PlayStation has always been doing revisions. A fat system, a slim system, a budget cost one over time. But this one, a lot of freaking memories with the PlayStation 1. But good times, good times. Kind of makes you want to plop in, Final Fantasy VIII right now, just for no reason. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.